Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Govs on the Go Faculty Spotlight, a new podcast featuring faculty in the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. My name is Dr. Buzz Hoon. I'm the Dean of the college, and I will serve as the host of the podcast. Today, I'm talking with Jordi Rochelot, professor in the Department of History and Philosophy. It is my honor to have you as my first guest on Faculty Spotlight.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, we're just going to talk to you a little bit about everything that you do here in the Department of History and Philosophy, and also within the College of Arts and Letters. And one of the things that I'd like to point out, you've been here for 21 years, and that's a great achievement in itself. Why come to Austin Peay?
Well, there was a job open, and they hired me. So there was that. The job that was advertised did fit me well because it was on both on ethics and other things in modern philosophy that were my interests and strengths, and so it was both appealing to me and something that I was suited to do. And I hadn't necessarily envisioned moving to the South, but I was welcome to try a new community, and it's worked out well. And you found
a good spot here within the department. It's worked out well.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think I've been a good fit there. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what you teach here at Austin Peay. And one of the important classes is the Introduction to Philosophy, which is one of the general education courses a student can take. And tell us a little bit about that class and why you like to teach that.
Yeah, so it does, the Introduction to Philosophy gives a background on the main sort of themes of philosophy and some of the history of what different philosophers have thought about, and so really it covers all areas. So we will get into ethics and political philosophy, which are probably my area of expertise, but I enjoy talking about free will and nature of reality. Today in class, we were just talking about George Berkeley's argument that there's no such thing as physical objects outside the mind, and it's exciting to see students first presented with these sort of philosophical issues and challenges, and what their response is, and sort of their defense of common sense against some of the different philosophical views is interesting.
When you must have a time where you are giving a lecture and all of a sudden you see a light bulb come on in a young person's mind that they all of a sudden this is an area of interest for them?
I think that's that is really true, that I do get that, and some people sometimes there might be a feeling of pulling teeth to get engagement, but other times people really are sparked by challenge or sparked by something, and really want to jump in and to discuss that. And I think that is when that light bulb is coming on to make them think about that.
So some of the other classes that you enjoyed teaching here are some other upper division classes. Before we get into the just war theory class, which I think is terrific, let's talk about some of the other classes.
Yeah, well, I teach a class on the history of ethics that looks at ethical theory through the ages, going back to Aristotle and his virtue ethics, up to utilitarian philosophy of John Stuart Mill and Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. So, and I enjoy looking at these classic texts with the students. We have good discussion around them. I also teach philosophy of law, in which we talk about the nature of law, legal reasoning, legal deduction, legal rights and obligations, and so forth. So that's a fun one. I've taught 19th and 20th century philosophy and existentialism, and enjoy thinking about these contemporary issues and where philosophy, new directions in philosophy as well.
And one of the ones that really drew me to you was that you teach a class on, as we said, on the just war theory. And tell us a little bit about what that covers and how that maybe also has helped you in your writing.
Yeah, that has really been a fun class to teach. It's not a class that I took as a graduate student. However, I was a teaching assistant in a kind of general education class that was interdisciplinary, taught by a philosophy professor that brought out the ethics of war. And I really found it exciting to see that philosophy could be applied to such sort of practical issues. I thought that I'd like to bring that up in a class some point. And then after about 2 weeks after I started at Austin Peay in September 2001, the 9/11 terror attacks happened, and my department chair, Dewey Browder, at that time history professor, asked would I like to teach a class in the master's program in military history on the ethics of warfare. And I thought that would be exciting to do. And I think he asked me even before the 9/11 attacks, but then I realized, this is going to be even more pressing now when we're going to move into this time of probable use of military force and debates about ethics of military force. And so, to talk about some of these, issues that are very pressing for us as a society, how do we use our military power? When should we use it, and in what way? Is a pressing question for us as humans as well as for our political leaders. And so I think to think through kind of carefully, reasonably, as philosophers try to do, these issues is of value. And I've had a chance to interact with people who study history and political science, who are study how some of the decisions get made, and then to bring the ethical component of, how should we be thinking? I've had great conversations with students, including people in the military, and students of history who have thought about different historical examples, and so we've got a good mix of sort of them bringing the realist perspective and me raising the ethical questions about the justification. And so, so that's been an exciting area for me to work in.
I think my very first interaction with anything within history and learning about wars is sort of that natural inclination to always think at some point, was this justified? Was it a worthy action? Whose side would I have been on at the time? All those kind of dilemmas sort of, I think, occur naturally as you are learning information about our history.
I think that's right, that it is a part of the reality of the situation. Now, probably for the people who are involved, they almost always think they're on the right side, even though each side thinks that. But I think you're right that as observers, we have to decide, okay, who's got the better claim, or do either of them have it right here? And now they talk about it. That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about your book, because I think that one of the things I really thought was really impressive about it, besides the fact you have all this really interesting knowledge about it, is it's been in the process for, I think, 7 or 8 years. You've been really working on this, and so if you want to, you can bring up the book so you can show it a little bit. The New Interventionist Just War Theory, a Critique. And so how long ago did you start working on it?
Yeah, it was about 8 years ago that I officially started the project. And really, it probably predates to papers I was writing before that. After I got into the Just War class, I started to go to conferences about military ethics. I went to an institute of the National Endowment for the Humanities on the ethics of war and how that was going to be changing after 9/11 in the new era. And I met a bunch of colleagues working in the area, and that helped sort of jumpstart me into some of the new debates and literature in the Just War area. And that was back in 2003. And so I started writing more in the area, and then I decided, hey, there are a lot of people are sort of moving in this direction in Just War theory, and I thought, well, I want to sort of put together my ideas and explain why I'm comfortable with some of these directions, and I think here's a direction we should be going more in, and that's where the book crystallized around that idea.
You must have been very happy to have that completed because I don't think people maybe don't know how difficult a process it is, but I'm sure you were very happy.
I was happy to see it finished. I enjoyed working on it and trying to hone ideas and see things come together. But I was very ready for it to have it off my desk for a while by the time I finished it. Yeah.
Anything that's planned for the future now that you have this done?
Well, I'm not exactly sure of the next direction. I might talk some about or think some more about immigration, refugees. What are our obligations to others in need in the world? Is a possibility. Something also about cyber war and how should we think about the ethics of cyber war is a new area that I think there's some interesting reflection and work to be done. So possibly something war related, but not exactly on the topic of the book about just when to go to war would be a possibility, or other moral issues that are facing us where philosophy might have a contribution to make.
And before we leave the topic here, I just want to point out that this book has been named a finalist for consideration for the best social philosophy book of 2022. And that's not why you do it, but it certainly is nice to receive that sort of recognition.
It is. Thank you. Yeah, I was happy that folks are reading it and finding it to be valuable and interesting.
Well, thank you, Jordy, for joining us on this first episode of the podcast and sharing some of what you do here to contribute to the College of Arts and Letters at Austin Peay State University. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And thanks to all of our viewers and listeners out there for checking out this first episode. We hope that you will join us as we continue to profile some of the outstanding professors we have in the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.